Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. The Israelites have been scattered across the four corners of the earth, as prophesied in Deuteronomy, the 20th chapter. Here in Israel United in Christ, we need your help to recover the remnant of our people, teach them the gospel. Please help us, support us, and join or donate to the Booster Club today. Shalom.
I want you to read this top right here. You mentioned earlier about loving your neighbor as yourself, right? Watch, we're going to read why. How we forgot this. Read that right there.
Post-traumatic slave syndrome.
So there's this thing called, oftentimes people say slavery was a long time ago. Always talk about slavery. So what? Big deal. Get it all the time. Get Deuteronomy 32 and 7 real quick. Watch this. The past is very important to understand.
That's right.
Because the past is the reason for the present.
Right.
If you don't understand your past, there's a saying. If you forget your past, you're doomed to repeat it.
That's right.
That's the expression. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 7. Remember the days of old.
The Bible says, remember the days of old. Meaning, remember the past. Go ahead.
Consider the years of many generations.
Go ahead.
Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee.
So our forefathers said, ask them about the past. Our fathers is the Bible.
That's right.
That's generations of old. That's our fathers. Now, go back to this again. Hold on. Read what is PTSS.
Post-traumatic slave syndrome.
What is?
What is PTS?
What is PTSS? What is post-traumatic slave syndrome? Watch this.
PTSS is a theory that explains the etiology of many of the adaptive survival behaviors in African Americans.
So it explains the behavior of present-day African Americans, from old to young. Okay, people ever see people who go to war, military? They come back crazy or messed up. They drinking, they hot. They're struggling because they had traumatic experiences in war, Vietnam, World War I, World War II. Now imagine that. Now they can go see a therapist, right? They can go to get help. They can seek help, seek therapy, right? Did we receive therapy before it happened to us? Did we get therapy before it happened to us? No. We suffered for it for generations.
Right.
Then after slavery ended, we still had oppression happening. We had KKK came out of nowhere.
Right.
Black codes, Jim Crow,
right.
Juan Crow.
Right.
Criminal leasing system,
Bring it out.
Casual Killing Act. All these things were passed during and after slavery was allegedly abolished, right?
Right.
Read on.
PTSS is a theory that explains the etiology of the adaptive survival behavior in African American communities.
So it explains the adaptive survival behavior of our people in these communities today. Watch.
Throughout the United States and the diaspora.
Throughout the United States and the diaspora, I mean us in Africa, us in China, us in whatever we at. Wherever you find our people, you'll find this syndrome. You'll find this curse. Read on.
It is a condition.
It is a what?
It is a condition.
Post-traumatic slave syndrome is a condition. Watch this.
That exists as a consequence of a multi-generational oppression of Africans and their descendants, resulting from centuries of chattel slavery.
So it is a condition that passes down from parent to child, based upon chattel slavery. So it's very important to understand and remember slavery because it affects our minds today. You understand? The trauma of slavery back then affected the children now.
Right.
You understand? Read on.
A form of slavery which was predicated on the belief that African Americans were inherently, genetically inferior to whites.
We learned that in slavery. Even today, we learn that with white Jesus, we're inferior to whites. We learned that with Santa Claus. White man runs around, if you do good, he'll give you a gift. If you do bad, he won't give you a gift. Worshiping white people again.
Bring it out.
Pilgrims, the pleasant pilgrims, great men. Columbus Day, great man. We're always admiring and celebrating our oppressor all the time.
Bring it out.
This was then followed by institutionalized racism.
This is then followed, so after chattel slavery, you had institutionalized slavery. That goes into us having ADHD, that goes into the Board of Education, the school to prison pipeline, bad schooling and so forth. That's institutionalized. Or it goes to the prison system, Jim Crow, institutionalized slavery now. Go ahead. That affected us after chattel slavery. Go ahead.
This was then followed by institutionalized racism, which continues to perpetrate injury.
Which continues now to perpetrate the injury that affected us when we was in chains. Watch this.
Thus resulting in MAP.
Thus resulting in MAP. MAP. We're going to be MAP. Watch.
M. Multi-generational trauma together with continued oppression.
So multi-generational trauma gathered with oppression. So the great-great-grandparents suffered affliction, oppression, the grandchild affliction, oppression, the child oppression, and he becomes a father. And it goes on, it passes on, it passes on. You understand? Read on.
A. Absence of opportunity to heal or access the benefits available in the society.
So it's this absence of ability to heal. From what? From the oppression before and present. Go ahead.
Leads to
What does it lead to?
P. Post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Read the rest. Let's go.
Under such circumstances, these are some of the predictable patterns of behaviors that tend to occur.
So we're going to read the symptoms of post-traumatic slave syndrome and see if slavery is not important to remember.
Bring it out.
Vacant esteem.
Vacant esteem is a sign of post-traumatic slave syndrome. Vacant esteem means you have no self-esteem at all. No self-worth, no pride of who you are, no love for your people, nothing. Read.
Vacant esteem. Insufficient development of what Dr. DeGroot refers to as primary esteem.
So the opposite of vacant esteem is primary esteem. Primary esteem is you have love of yourself, you feel a sense of racial pride, dignity, honor, like white folks. They have primary esteem. Black folks have vacant esteem. Vacant means it's empty.
Bring it out.
It's non-existent, it's not there. No one's home. Read.
Along with feelings of hopelessness.
Along with what?
Feelings of hopelessness.
So vacant esteem comes with feelings of what?
Hopelessness.
That's you get high, you sell drugs, kill your people, you get drunk, you get crack, you do cocaine,
Bring it out.
you weed. That's hopeless. That's feeling of hopelessness. That's a sign of post-traumatic slave syndrome. You
That's
understand,
right.
brother? Read.
Depression.
Depression is a syndrome, a symptom of post-traumatic slave syndrome. Let's say, read the first one again. Vacant esteem, hopelessness, what?
Hopelessness.
Hopelessness,
Depression.
depression,
And a general self-destructive outlook.
and a general self-destructive outlook. Getting high, getting drunk, self-destructive. That's from post-traumatic slave, it's a symptom of post-traumatic slave syndrome. Passed down from father to great-grandfather to child, from man to woman, even to today. Read.
Marked propensity for anger and violence.
What is it again? Read again.
Marked propensity
A marked propensity, go ahead, or behavior, go ahead,
for anger
for anger
and violence.
and violence. Ain't that unique society today?
Bring it
Marked
out.
propensity for anger and violence
Right.
towards your own,
Right.
not towards white folks, towards your own.
Right.
Not towards Chinese, towards your own.
Right.
Not towards Arabs, towards your own.
Right.
Read.
Extreme feelings of suspicion, perceived negative motivations of others.
Perceive negative motivations against others, against each other. But then against white folks, against each other. Go ahead.
Violence against self.
Violence what?
Against self.
Violence against self. That's killing each other, gun violence, abortions, That's violence against self.
Right.
That's a symptom of post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Bring it out.
You understand? Read.
Property of violence against self, property, and others.
Property on. Violence against what?
Self,
Violence against oneself,
property,
their own environment, they burn their own store down to the ground.
right,
Sell drugs amongst themselves, not in white neighborhoods, only their own neighborhoods.
right,
Their own property, go ahead.
and others,
And their violence toward others. We're gonna be who the others are soon. Read it.
including
Including, go ahead.
the members of one's own group.
Including the members of one's own group. Violence towards their property, violence towards their own selves, and violence towards their people.
That's right.
That's the Negroes today.
Right.
That's why slavery is very important.
That's
because
right.
it shows you why we behave how we do today.
Right.
It explains why. That's why the Bible says, remember the days of old.
Right.
You must remember the days of old.
Bring it out.
Or you're doomed to repeat it.
Right.
And it's happening now. It's repeated over and over again. Not just here in Philly, all over the world. When you find out people in the diaspora, you'll find these same symptoms, these same conditions. Read.
Violence against self, property, and others, including the members of one's own group. For example, friends, relatives,
On. Violence towards who? What?
members of one's own group.
Members of one's own group. Watch this.
For example,
For example,
friends,
their own friends,
relatives,
their own family, mother, their father, they'll beat their own father, mother up. Go ahead.
or acquaintances.
Or friends, or people that they know in the neighborhood. Go ahead.
Racist socialization and internalized racism. Learned helplessness.
They learn helplessness. Go ahead.
Literacy deprivation.
Can't read or write barely.
Distorted.
Or speak properly. Nah, I mean, yo, me, nah, I mean, son. Yeah, me, yeah. Illiteracy.
Bring it out.
Distorted self-concept.
Distorted self-concept. Meaning how they see themselves is distorted. I'm just a nigga. I ain't no good. I'm nobody. They become what is called, I call it a loser mentality.
Bring it out.
Loser. I'm a loser, so I don't care. I'm gonna be how I be. I am who I am. We have a loser mentality.
Right,
That's a
right.
symptom of post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Right.
That's why we do what we do. We have a distorted self-image. You know where that come from, brother? Television.
Right.
Music videos.
Right.
Colorful teeth. Tattoos all over your face.
Right.
Colorful hair. Skinny ass clothes on. Pants sagging ball behind. Distorted self-respect. Distorted self-esteem. Distorted self-image. Read.
Distorted self-concept. Antipathy or aversion for the following. The members of one's own identified cultural ethnic group.
Right, go ahead.
The mores and customs associated with one's own identified cultural ethnic heritage. The physical characteristics of one's own identified cultural ethnic group. The book post.
That's all I want. So he explains to you, these are all symptoms of post-traumatic slave syndrome. Helplessness, violence towards oneself, your own people's property, your own family, your own friends, the low self, a corrupt image of oneself. All of that goes back. It says multi-generational. What that means? What does that mean? Multi-generational. What's that mean? You know what that means? That means from father to from great-great-grandfather to grandfather to son, and then it goes on and on. That's multi-generational. That goes and passes on from generation to generation. You understand? Get verse 36, 32. Deuteronomy 32, verse 36. So the Most High made it clear, for breaking his laws, he'll have these curses fall upon us. And through them curses, that syndrome fell upon us. That's an illness. That's an ailment. Read that, verse 36.
Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 36. For the Lord shall judge his people.
The Lord shall judge his people. And that judgment is what caused post-traumatic slave syndrome. Read on.
And repent himself for his servants.
But the Lord will eventually return. He'll say, you know one thing? I'm have mercy on y'all. I'm going to get you out of that condition. When you're ready. When you are ready.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.